for our records in the future.
Very excited to be partnered with the ICDR this year, and we look forward to seeing what's to come next year and how to make this industry more safe and verified and fair for our dancers.
The ICDR is just a bridge to connect studios, competitions, video providers under one shared mission about safety, structure, and just modernizing dance, so that we can all provide the studios and their teams, which are the kids and their parents, with amazing products and also amazing experiences at our events.
Anyone is welcome to jump on board, support, and help. Event owners, advisors, people in high positions. I am not the authority on dance, but I'm someone that is bringing safety, transparency, and all of that good stuff that we talked about to the table, and it's time.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Jamie.
What could a trusted record of someone's participation in dance do for them?
I think it legitimizes dance, which is what we're all trying to do here, right? It's we're trying to streamline, we're trying to gain more knowledge and more power together so that we can have integrity in our art and sport just like other sports do. And I think that we can all agree that that is something that we all long for. I know I do, and I would love to have dancers treated like other athletes, where they can go to a space as well where they have all of their accolades, and those accolades therefore are more real and have more respect.
A digital record of everything that I did as a competitive dancer would be so beneficial now. Safety is the biggest priority that we have for our children. So if you are ready for a safe, fair, verified future in dance, self-verify today.
The integrity in our industry is getting harder as our industry grows and explodes. Back 20 years ago, there was the argument of, is it dance or is it sport or is it art? And now with the way our industry has evolved, it's becoming more and more apparent that we need to have more structure and come together and be united, because that actually gives us, respect of ourselves and the confidence in ourselves to say, oh, I've actually talked to 20 other studio owners. Great, we're on the same page. But I think having more conversations and having more, unity in going forward and the confidence to go forward builds our integrity.
We're the PLA Prep team. I'm Danny. I'm a competition director. I'm also a dance mom. And I have personally had issues in the past with people being able to access my dancers' media and use it for cyberbullying within their studio in previous years.
Hi, I'm Janae. We have thousands of dancers who dance in our competitions every year, and it's really important for us that we create a safe and fair competition. And I really think that the ICDR is going to help with that.
I'm Lulu, and as a dance teacher, it's really important that our students are verified in their age group and their level so that they can be put in the same category as other dancers that are the same level for it to be fair.
Hi, I'm Ellen. I'm a part of the PLE prep team, and as a dancer, I think it's really important to keep track of our exams and our competition achievements for our records in the future.
Very excited to be partnered with the ICDR this year, and we look forward to seeing what's to come next year and how to make this industry more safe and verified and fair for our dancers.
The ICDR is just a bridge to connect studios, competitions, media providers under one shared mission about safety, structure, and just modernizing dance, so that we can all provide the studios and their teams, which are the kids and their parents, with amazing products and also amazing experiences at our events.
Anyone is welcome to jump on board, support, and help. Event owners, advisors, people in high positions. I am not the authority on dance, but I'm someone that is bringing safety, transparency, and all of that good stuff that we talked about to the table, and it's time.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Jamie.
What could a trusted record of someone's participation in dance do for them?
I think it legitimizes dance, which is what we're all trying to do here, right? It's we're trying to streamline, we're trying to gain more knowledge and more power together so that we can have integrity in our art and sport just like other sports do. And I think that we can all agree that that is something that we all long for. I know I do, and I would love to have dancers treated like other athletes, where they can go to a space as well where they have all of their accolades, and those accolades therefore are more real and have more respect.
A digital record of everything that I did as a competitive dancer would be so beneficial now. Safety is the biggest priority that we have for our children. So if you are ready for a safe, fair, verified future in dance, self-verify today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. I know how busy all of you are. So the mere fact that you took the time to be here on a Tuesday against probably recitals, summer tours, planning next year, or maybe even approaching nationals. I see a lot of friendly faces in the room, which makes me very happy. So thank you so much. And I see some new faces too. My name is Jamie Hodgins, Executive Director of the ICDR, and someone who has lived and breathed this industry for over 25 years. But I'm not here today to talk, even though I love to talk. I'm here more to listen. This room is full of people that I deeply respect, and what you think and what you need matters more in this virtual call than any pitch I could give you. So today is more about a question we can all ask ourselves. What could a verified registry of dancers and their guardians do for your community and our industry? A free verified digital ID for every dancer, fully privacy compliant, fully owned and controlled by the people it represents, industry-wide infrastructure without governance that helps you, that you get to help shape, because every conversation, all the ones we're going to have today, the ones that we previously had in our studio call, our guardian call, are helping us know what tools that you're looking for. So this is serious collaboration industry-wide. That's the super exciting part that I'm super proud to be a part of. So you're not here just to learn about ICDR, you're here to influence and help shape it. We are not a group of people here to govern the industry or tell you how to do things. We are not a registration system. We're just hoping that today you get the clarity on what this can mean for you and how this can be a new tool in your already pretty large toolbox. So why don't we just start by meeting the team, the ICDR team that are dedicated every single day to making sure that we're privacy compliant, that we have new solutions to make your jobs a little bit easier. So if you don't mind, I would love to introduce the ICDR team. First, I would love to bring up Monica Valencia. Monica Valencia is our privacy officer. She reviews privacy compliant standards and changes in terms of BIPA, PIPEDA, COPPA, GDPR-K, you name it. She is dedicated every single day to make sure that we and all of our processes are privacy compliant. So thank you, Monica. I would love to bring up Gavin Taylor. Gavin Taylor is our customer support manager, making sure that every verification is as seamless and easy as possible. So thank you, Gavin, for leading that side of the team. He comes with a wealth of knowledge from YMCA to Apple, Genius Bars, you name it. He knows customer service. So thank you for making sure that our clientele are well protected and well served. Let's bring up Shelly Fugels on the customer support team as well.
Unfortunately, Jamie, we do not have Shelly with us.
That's okay. So Ernesto Valencia is on the call as well. He runs a lot of our communications and helps on the customer support side as well. And then Kim McSwain, the wonderful Kim McSwain, south of the border that I met at Dance Teacher Web. She's our US strategist and has helped make sure that we're building this properly with lived experience. Kim has worn every hat in the industry, like so many of you. And last but certainly not least, the more technical side of ICDR for sure, Bryce Hunter. Bryce is making sure that all of our processes and that all of our software is as light touch and as easy on all of our clients as possible. So this is the team, and we have many more that are not here, developers, other customer support people that are dedicated to improving the quality of life across competitive dance. So if we don't mind showing them some love, you can use the react buttons down below if you want to. We want this to be fun, so you can like send with effect. Thank you so much to everybody because, change is historically scary in dance, but this is a team that's kind of leading the charge to make sure that we're bringing a new level of safety to our dance operations. So thank you so much. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, and I'm going to keep Bryce. And we just want to start with an easy question. We want everyone to use the chat today. Okay, we want to know your questions. We want to bank all these questions and make sure we're referring to them either live in the room or following up with full answers later. Both, who knows, depending on what happens today. So why don't we just start with, where are you calling in from? Let's use the chat. Where are you? Bryce, where are you?
I'm in Toronto.
Vancouver, Los Angeles.
Oh, hey, Rexdale. LA, Edmonton, Saskatchewan, Tallahassee.
Amazing.
Nice. Or Torontonians.
Okay, so we got some Canadians, we got some Americans in the room. Love it.
Amazing.
Okay.
That's great.
Now, why don't we write what brand you're representing today in the chat? I know Plie Prep is in the room. I know Elevation Dance Challenge is in the room. Who else is here? Dance Troupe, Breaking Bounds, love it. Hi, Annie. Kirsten's here. Yay.
Awesome.
Amazing. We've got some more coming in. And feel free at any point. Dance Bug is in the room. Thank you so much. Bryce, why don't you tell everybody while they're still writing in the chat how you and I got connected and
absolutely.
Kind of your position.
Yeah, no, a friend of mine was like, hey, you should meet this guy, Jamie. He's working on some cool stuff. And it was a coffee that was very fateful for us both. I have 3 kids, twin daughters who just turned 3, who both had their first their first dance classes this year, and a son who's about to turn 5, who's been dancing now for about 2 years. So very much involved in the world of dance. My wife has been dancing her whole life, taught everything, went to Broadway for her training and her stab at a stage career. Brought that back to Toronto as well. Has been doing acting ever since. So just been always involved in the arts community, been always involved in the dance community. So it was very eye-opening for me when Jamie started to talk about the more complex parts of the industry and, quite frankly, some of the more exposed parts of the industry. And this is all everyone doing the best that they can with the technology that's available. And ultimately, when we started to talk about media redemption being blocked only by date of births, kids' names being online, things like this. I was just like, how can I help? How can I get involved? Because this is just really near and dear to me. I'm going to be involved in this space for probably the next 20 years at the very least. So I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to be, engaging in it, that I can engage in it in a real way. And so this was Jamie then positioning the ICDR and talking about the targets and the goals that he had in mind. And so it just was like an obvious thing for me to say, but what can I do to help? Let's get involved.
Yeah. So let's just start with full transparency. Are there any questions off the top? Feel free to bank them, throw them in that chat. We want to refer to them. We have Ernesto and Monica that are kind of synthesizing those questions in terms of making sure that we can highlight some. So feel free at any point, if you want to be spotlit, if you want to go on camera, I would love to see you on camera. So if we don't mind, if you are not on camera, if you could just turn on camera for just a second. Just a second. That would be really wonderful. Awesome. Now, I just want to see by show of hands who is headed into nationals. Who is headed into nationals very, very soon? I am. Okay, amazing. Some of you are. Yeah. Kim's nodding her head. Amazing. Okay, great. Any questions off the top so far? We're good. We're going to keep going. Okay.
I mean, while people think about that, it might be worthwhile just talking through specifically what the process is. And yeah. So Jamie mentioned at the beginning, we are focused on the verification side of the dance industry. We are not focused on regulation. We are not focused on governance. What we are focused on is just making sure that the dancers that are hitting your stages are, competing fairly and that are, representing themselves correctly. In addition to that, we get these amazing benefits of verifying a parent and then their kids and saying, okay, this linkage between a parent and a child can control things like access to live streams, can control things like access to the media that's redeemed at the end of a competition, can also enforce allow us to track progress that individuals have been making over their dance careers. So there's lots of really wonderful benefits, and it all starts with a guardian taking their ID, taking a photo of the front of it, the back of it, and a selfie. And then we do a lot of work on the back end to compare selfies and the picture on your card and the data that's on the card to a government database to come all together to say, okay, this is a real verified parent. And that's driver's licenses, that's passports, it's Canadian, US, and we accept international documents too. So really, really focusing on the guardian side to make sure that they're in the system and verified that they are who they say they are. So yeah, that's really where it all starts and starts to build up from. And one of the things I just wanted to throw out, but why this is so exciting to have these types of conversations, and please ask any questions, ideate, brainstorm here. This is an open conversation, as Jamie said. We didn't have half of the ideas going into from that initial coffee together. It was only through these types of conversations that we've been able to build up new ideas, deploy, really interesting solutions for people that have had real big problems and want to continue to build with the community and come up with a really great product for you.
Yeah. And, I know that some people are aware that I have a sister that's a president and CEO of the Canada Games Council. So I always had a front row seat to athlete treatment versus dancer treatment. And when I started to step behind the curtain, when I started to look at the back end of the competitions and the systems that we rely on, they don't really speak to each other. They're not connected. They're kind of isolated islands and dots. And while we can do a lot, inside of one ecosystem to protect, those clients and that the data inside of it, we see an opportunity because we're not confident all the time of who is behind all the accounts. There's also a very specific change that we're offering the industry that is very privacy compliant, stopping to use Jamie Hodgen's first name, last name, and December 23rd. I'm not telling you the rest of my birth date as an identifier in all of these systems. So we're really happy that we're highlighting that very important update, right? Because Bryce highlighted a verification. You only have to verify once. It takes mere minutes. You know, Bryce has designed with all of our developers a very lightweight verification to prove you are this guardian. You onboard your dancer. And what that does is it unlocks a unique participant ID that should work in every single system, right? Because it has nothing to do with the studios or the dancers that you might align with one provider and another brand might align with another. So we're trying to essentially solve a lot of immediate problems, but also work together to honor the dancer's commitment, expand the value of every single parent's investment with, you know, a digital record. So we're going to get into a lot of these things. You know, we'll talk about how, you know, verifying once unlocks that unique participant ID. We can remove names from the internet. It is privacy compliant. Obviously, if we're doing that verification, we'll have checked the multiple factor authentication of the guardians so we can start to restrict that media downloads. There will be level clarity because suddenly we're, you know, it's participating and talking or helping, I should say, the providers speak together in terms of that level history. And we're going to get into a lot of these things because I'm sure you have questions. Waiver systems, we can suddenly make sure that guardians are signing the waivers and remove studio directors from that sometimes onerous process. We can release liability because suddenly we have accident insurance options. This is only optional, and that would be an add-on paid service that ICDR can offer. We can talk about legacy profiles, and we essentially provide a guardianship connection to a dancer to anyone that works with us. So that's where we're going to get to a little bit. Let's go to the next slide, if you don't mind. And you're going to see that this is really the current model, you know, and you could design this in many different ways, you know, related to data exchange in the competitive world. Bryce, do you want to break this down a little bit for people? I'm sure that they can, you know, see how the data is exchanging, but yeah.
We have a bunch of silos, ultimately. There's a bunch of individual pieces of software, from studio management software to competition management software to even just email lists and the rest of the ecosystem that is built up around running and managing many events as competition owner operators, or running a studio as an event director, a studio director. And a lot of it does get pushed back to the studio director to make sure that they have the most up-to-date information and that they're repeatedly putting in the same data across multiple systems time and time again. And with that, there is a lot of error, and there's a lot of it's very error prone, I should say. And we do see a lot of cases where kids are put in rightly or wrongly with an incorrect birth date, or very much wrongly with an incorrect name, or a bunch of small clerical errors start to crop up, and you have just a lack of clarity as to who this individual is as they come to your event, as they come to your competition or your convention. And by referring to an ID, we do a couple really great things. One, we get this child's PII off the internet. We allow the studio director to input this information once, and realistically, it's actually the parent in our workflow is the one that's actually putting this in. It's not an additional lift for the studio director. They're just sharing a link to their studio. And ultimately, by interfacing with as many technology partners as we possibly can, both directly by creating software connections between them, or more indirectly by supporting you guys with team members from our end who can move data between different platforms in a more of an agent style workflow, we are able to support any of our tool chain inside of any of your workflows if you guys are interested in taking on or getting the advantages of having verified IDs. And then you get to refer to one piece of information, and you have the assurances that this is actually correct for the first time.
Right.
You have absolute assurances that this is correct. So yeah, it's nice and clean. We create a lot more clarity inside of this ecosystem by referring to one ID, and we get to also have the benefit of removing children's data off from the internet at the same time.
Exactly. And I mean, you can see, on the far left here, Melody Jazz, there are 4 different profiles for Melody Jazz. And if there's a hyphen in the name, it can throw off the entire back end. After a studio's done completing 100 routine registration on one platform and they move to another, there is a very large opportunity for a mistake to be made because of all this manual entry. So we are not trying to introduce another platform for people to manage. We're trying to introduce a new way of doing things that can actually save studios a lot of time, that can save our event partners a lot of headache, and can offer a new way to really protect our dancers online, since we've moved so much of our operations into online systems. So if we can get rid of this slide, if you don't mind, and I'd love to bring someone up on the call, and just we can kind of refer to her experience. So Danny Shaw is one of our event partners from Alberta. She has a wonderful competition called Plie Prep, and we just want to invite her to participate in the call. Hi, Danny.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for being here. So how was your season? Busy, I imagine?
Busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Happy for summer. Yeah.
Yes, I think we all are. Well, thank you for being here. We're just going to launch a few polls, and we just want someone that's got her feet on the ground, that operates competitions all the time, to refer to what we're seeing, as a response from live in the room. So, and I know the first question, Danny, you'll register with. So why don't we ask the audience who in the room was a competitive dancer? That's poll 1. So let's see, and I'm going to participate as well. So let's try to get to, at least 50%. I would love to see more people answer the polls. Were you a competitive dancer? Things have changed a little bit, right, Danny, than when we were competing?
Yeah.
Tell me a few of the differences. I'm curious.
Well, specific to this call, back when I was competing, there was no such thing as media packages. If my parents purchased the VHS, we might be able to watch it again.
Yeah. And remember, you were taking like bags and bags of cassettes away from competition of our adjudications, so we've moved our adjudications more online, so absolutely a lot more is, just moved online, and it's more content driven, right? We're so obsessed with that perfect image and that perfect video. So let's see what the room says, Bryce.
Share there. Jamie, you should see the results. They're up now.
Got it. Yeah, I see 73% was a competitive dancer. So does anyone want to refer to anything that's a little bit different today versus before?
Kim had her hand up there.
Who does, sorry?
So Kim.
Kim,
Yes.
let's bring Kim in.
Jamie, we used to have to be ready backstage with our birth certificates.
Right. So categories were 20 dancers long sometimes, right?
Yeah, we had to be ready with that. If somebody were to say something. That?
Yeah, Mary.
I had to.
Yep. What else is a bit different? Write it in the chat. We can refer to things that are happening live in the chat as well. What else is a bit different than when you were dancing? There were no levels before.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That's a massive change, right? And that has nothing to do with it does, the dance industry, but that's just society in general, right? So dance has evolved with the times to, address the clientele needs. So we kind of need to address some difficulty in the back end that isn't helping us level up properly. Anything else? Let's go to poll 2 then. Let's go to poll 2 if you don't mind. On a scale of 1 to 5, how concerned are you about online privacy in dance? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? All right, so I want to ask my studio directors in the room a question related to this while everyone is, voting. Think of a graduated dancer that was with you for about 10 years, right? Where is their data still living? And if they wanted that data removed, if they became a dentist and had 2 children, how would they go about removing that data? What would that process look like? What would that process feel like? Danny, can you kind of help highlight a little bit of that? Can you think of like your daughter's data or even your data living on many systems?
Yeah, from previous, when you asked about, competitive dance 20 plus years ago, it wasn't living anywhere but my parents' living room. So now it's living everywhere. There's social media, there's internet, there's anyone who has access to these files. I wouldn't even begin to know as a parent where my kids' media was.
Right. And Danny, didn't something happen related to, your daughter's media? It had nothing to do with bad birth dates or anything like that. But what happened specifically, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so this is actually how I came to meet Jamie, actually, as I had an issue with my daughter's media on a different media provider. You just put in their name, you put in their birth date, and then you could access all of their photos and videos. And at their studio, there was drama going on, but other dancers were able to access my daughter's media because they know their birth dates. It's very widely available. And they were able to get screenshots and downloads and use them for bullying purposes. And then even when those kids moved on to a different studio, they're still able to access that media because you stay in that system. The birth dates never change, the names never change, so you always have access to it, which was very concerning for me as a mom. So I went to the provider, asked what I can do about this, and they said, "Let me introduce you to Jamie."
Oh, lovely. Well, I mean, that's what this has become, right? Everyone's been doing the best they can with the tools that they have because we've really been trying to restrict access to performance media of dancers not in hockey gear, using the only thing we have, which is birth dates, right? So 67% of this room, these event leaders are concerned about data privacy. And I have to confirm that anyone that interacts with child data is liable if you're not participating in the safest way to protect that data. Bryce, do you want to comment on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, I'd like to even just say that it's more like realistically 87% if you add in the 4 and the 5. I think everyone on this call is very sensitive to this topic and is aware of the risks around it. Yeah, if anyone, there's a deep dive that we could be doing on the actual obligation and legal structure around the control and responsibility of child data in Canada versus the US under COPPA versus, various states and provinces all have their own subset of constraints. And, Quebec has a really strong set of framework in place as well as Ontario and across the US. And the most onerous one being the state of Illinois with BIPA. But there's, we have built up from our end this really interesting cross section of compliance and regulation. We handle COPPA. We handle PIPEDA in Canada. We handle GDPRK in the EU already, and we're not even yet rolled out into Europe. We're working so far in advance of these compliance frameworks to make sure that we are building the most complicated for us, but ultimately the most sophisticated and safest profile for the people that are working within the ICDR.
So, Danny, can I ask, how does that make you feel as an event owner that some body of people are dedicated to making sure that we're adhering to all these privacy laws and that that's our sole business? I just want to hear from you on that side.
Yeah, I appreciate it because I am not good at this tech side. And yeah, as a competition director, conventions, having thousands and thousands of videos and photos and taken at my event, it's concerning for me about who gets their hands on them. Not only from like the liability standpoint, but also just like I'm a parent. I don't want that ever to harm somebody. So to give that to have you guys, the ICDR, who actually know what they're doing, who knows about all of this, who specialize in that, that's really a blessing for me, knowing that all of this media is in good hands.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask my back end people to launch slide 5, please. Launch slide 5 because, Danny, this is a concern that we've heard from a lot of our event partners and would love your feedback on it if you don't mind. Sure. Live streams, right? So, I mean, essentially anyone can create an account on many different systems. So there's sometimes that restriction, but we don't know who is behind those accounts, right? And often live streams are just open for anyone. So what's your experience with live stream? Any concerns you can highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. And when there is like a private link, I know many parents will post it on their Instagram so that, you know, their family members and stuff can get it. We are maybe an unpopular decision. Our events are not live streamed because I don't know who gets that link. I have no, I'm not comfortable having our events be live streamed. So we haven't stepped into that, even though we pay for it. And even though it's easy to flip a switch and have it done. Yeah.
It's difficult, right? So, and you know, even Mary puts in something in the chat. Another big difference is that everyone in the room can now film the dancer on stage and immediately post and comment publicly about that child. I know because I've hosted for I don't know how many competitions and adjudicated for how many that everyone is very particular about not letting the audience film while the dancer's on stage. We all do the best that we can, but Mary's right. It's often that people have these phones and we're live streaming and we don't know who is tuning in. You know, it wasn't too long ago that my sister was on a Guardian call, you know, as the president and CEO of the Canada Games, and she explained that sport is concerned with complaint mechanisms. They want to make sure that every level of their sport has an ability to file a complaint or to go to make sure that they have a safer place in person. But, you know, when you're talking about dance, we're really a content-driven society, right? That's why we want content-driven industry. That's why we want the live stream open because everyone wants to tune in. You want to catch your dancers, or as a choreographer, I often want to watch my choreography on stage, right? But who is checking in? Who is linking into these accounts? You know, Bryce, we've had conversations with providers that know there are accounts being created in Turkey to stream, you know, a competition that's in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
So we,
and it gets very dark very fast as well. The concepts and the content conversation around media, and kids media, and as Jamie alluded to earlier, kids media where the kids are not wearing hockey gear and they're on stage doing things that they didn't really have a lot of choice in doing. And, you know, all extremely positive and amazing, generally speaking, in the context of the event, but something that doesn't necessarily need to live beyond the parents and guardians, you know, experience. So yeah, no, it's a deep dive that we could all go down on that front. We don't have time near enough for me to vent about that side of the world. But one of the more interesting aspects of live stream is, and this is something that we're actively working on, is building up ICDR logins for a whole slew of live stream platforms. We're going to, in the survey at the end, we would really love to get a better understanding of what live stream platforms you guys are using today so that we can start to build our wrapper specifically for that. And that will allow you to launch an ICDR restricted live stream where we would say, because we know who the parent is and we know who their kids are, that the parent only has access to their kids during the days that their kids, on stage, and also offer you guys some tools that you may or may not want, which would be a required sign in order to view the live stream, or maybe a required sign in plus that a secured share link that they could share with grandma, aunts and uncles, et cetera, et cetera. So there's lots of really good tools that have only come from conversations like this, where we were actually on a trade room floor and someone was like, oh man, live streams and people actually stealing choreography is a problem that we're having versus the more predatory aspects of potential predatory aspects of streaming kids on the internet. So yeah, it's lots of really interesting stuff. And Mary, this is what you're bringing up here in the chat. Generative AI, as it pertains to CSAM, so child sexual assault material, is on a massive upswing, like a really, really terrifying rocket ship up right now. And anything we can be doing to further control as parents and as the places of safety where kids can go and have fun and have these amazing artistic experiences, we should be doing everything in our power to make sure that media is secured as best as possible. Because what you're highlighting here is exactly correct.
Yeah, and even Laura is saying screen recording while streaming is happening. That's how choreography is getting stolen. Absolutely, 100%. So I want to move to the next slide, if you don't mind, waivers, because, basically Bryce is referring to a feature that, as an event partner, you might be interested in only waivers, or you might only be interested in restricting the live stream. And that's up to you. We want to offer you the tools that you need for the 2026 need set of your clientele, essentially. So waivers, Danny, can you highlight any from your side what waivers are like for you?
Yeah, so in doing conventions, I feel like waivers are a part-time job, making sure they're all in and they're all correct and they have the right names on them and not the parents' names. But also from the parent standpoint, getting a different waiver for each of my kids' competitions. It would be amazing if it was ideally all streamlined so that I could do one per season. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then what if you're going to 4 different, competitions served by 4 different providers? As a parent, you might be signing 4 different ways, right? So we're just trying to make things a little bit easier. It's not gonna happen overnight, but we know that if we remove the studio director, then we can push that waiver via unique participant IDs the second it's ready, Danny, giving more your end clients, the dancers and their guardians, more time to sign, right? So we want to help that process as well. So let's go to, I think we're going to move on to poll 3. Danny, I want to say thank you so much. Is there anything you wanted to say why Plie Prep is partnering with ICDR? This is your chance to say anything you'd like, if you'd like.
Well, thank you. No, I think, the ICDR brings a peace of mind for me personally, for our company. I think it's, in my opinion, a no-brainer for a competition convention to try to make sure that these kids participating with us are safe. I think collectively we all want that. Yeah, so thanks for offering an option that it's easy on our parts.
Well, thank you. You've been an absolute champion and you're just a stellar human being as well. So appreciate you. We'll see you very soon. Thanks, Danny. Let's give her some love, everybody, please. Danny, well done, from Alberta, Canada. Absolute leader in this space. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much, Danny. All right, my back end people, we are going to bring Rachel from Elevation Dance Challenge onto the call. A very close friend of mine I've known for, I don't even know how many years, Rachel. We met judging. Hi.
Don't tell them.
Yeah. Rachel is the owner and director of Elevation Dance Challenge. Rachel, why don't you just tell the audience a little bit about you, and we'll start there.
Hi, everyone. So I come at this from a few different perspectives. Yes, I run Elevation Dance Challenge. We're headed into our 13th season. I'm also a dance mom. My son's a 13-year-old dancer, and I help run a large studio as well. So having several conversations with Jamie over the last couple of years for sure about this idea, and just really looking forward to the end game, like getting to the end game of what all this is going to to bring to our industry, because I think it's really
Yeah.
important that, you know, everybody's on board, from, you know, the dancer to the parent to the studio to the competitions to the we're launching a convention this fall as well. So, you know, I think everybody under one umbrella working together, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, Rachel, let's talk about, you know, something together by asking the audience. Let's launch poll 3, please. You know, if we can launch poll 3, and the question goes to the group. I fully trust that all competitors are the age and level they're registered as, yes or no. You know, this is your feedback, because we do hear from a lot of partners. Some people say that cheating isn't happening. I can guarantee you, unfortunately, that it is. Okay, great. So it's 100% of the room. So yes, we don't need to stay on this, but Rachel, why don't you tell it from your perspective, you know, from the events perspective, that you're relying on the data that a studio director is supplying?
Absolutely. I think, you know, we are doing our best as competition directors to provide events that everybody feels safe at and seen at, and can be, you know, acknowledged and are being represented at properly. So I can tell you that on more than one occasion every season, I do hear from a studio director at one of our events, asking, always nicely, questioning students from other studios. And, you know, we've worked our rules over the last couple of years to try to minimize the cheating in terms of levels. Birth dates, I don't know how often that happens on purpose.
Right.
Maybe more often, maybe I'm more naive, but even accidentally, when a student is entered into our system, like you were talking about before, as a 2013 birthday instead of 2012, and the schedule goes out and nobody
Right.
notices until they're at the event, that's a whole other, you know, administrative nightmare as you're trying to run an event. So, you know, I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's important to
Okay,
be able
let's
to do those things.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Let's launch poll 4. I'm curious, what is currently the biggest pain point in your workflow from the list below? Is it waivers? Is it scheduling? Is it studio communication? So when they're on site, you know, having to report something, is it travel, or is it venues? This is just something that maybe we could help with. I'm not going to say that we're going to come up with a solution right away, but that's what we're here to do. Is we're trying to find industry scaled solutions for our event partners like Rachel. You know, waivers 20%, scheduling about 36%. You know, I had a wonderful experience with a competition recently where I had to open up 13 WhatsApp chats with all the studio directors and the teachers that were at that specific event. So you can imagine that was difficult for me as hosting the competition. I'm opening these chats. I mean, it was very.
And it looks like we've lost Jamie.
Oh.
Jamie was actually going to go off to talk about a conversation that he had, experience he had this a recent event with multiple chats open, to be able just to manage the flow of information coming in and through as the host, and to be able to understand even what was going on and what the next steps inside the actual experience was. It's, I think, probably an under-discussed part of the competition experience. I think it's something that everyone has sort of solved in their own way to make sure that it's you know, working well for them. But it's an area that we're also exploring in ways that we could potentially be helping everybody out. So
Definitely. I think too, you know, that can be overwhelming as an event director or as an MC or whatever your role is that weekend, to manage that and keep everything straight, right?
absolutely. Amazing. So let's keep on with the program while Jamie finds his way back to us. And poll 5, if we don't mind queuing that one up. And that's going to be, what is our biggest concern for the studio clients? These are the people that are paying you guys. These are the ones that you're interfacing with the most. And probably one of the most delicate aspects of our conversation that we've been having. We want to make sure that everyone understand. There's Jamie. That
Sorry
everyone
about that.
understand that we understand that, you know, the studios are your clients and that the studio's clients are the parents. And so anything we could be doing to help support you in that relationship and managing a kind of a complex dynamic is an area that we want to be working towards. So we've got over 40 people in now, the heavy hand towards level accuracy and media access and privacy concerns. Let's get a couple more people's thoughts in here, and I'll throw it back over to Jamie.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Sorry about that. I've got quite a few things plugged in here. I'm the dance guy. I'm not the software guy. Let's go into slide 7, please. I just want you guys to refer to this. We're going to end the polls right now, and we're going to jump into slide 7, which is just discussing levels. We highlighted it briefly earlier, but there has been a push, lately to have a lot of different levels, whether it's pre-competitive, elite, advanced competitive. It's different across the board. But part of our ethos with this unique participant ID that can work in every single system is that that ID carries historic level history, right? So if we're plugged in to different systems that otherwise would never speak together, we can suddenly have a little bit more level clarity. And Bryce, we are even in touch with some class management software systems to help, the first steps toward validating Studio in hours. Not going to happen overnight.
But it is something that we've been taking very seriously, and we are in conversations with all of the largest classroom management solutions out there. And I know that there's a lot of there's a lot of studio managers who have built their own solutions or possibly even operate exclusively out of spreadsheets, much like I'm sure there's direct studio or event directors and owners and operators on this call who have built their own solutions. If you have your own solution, we are super excited to talk to you as well. You don't have to be using something that's an off-the-shelf piece of software to leverage ICDR. We want to be able to build something with you, for you, something that works really well for the ecosystem that you're building to make your product, your events, as best as they possibly can be. And by bridging some of that classroom management software with the competition software, we are starting to take those really exciting first steps in being able to provide more clarity to you, the event owner operators, to manage this as you will. Levels mean something different, but like East Coast, West Coast, north of the border, south of the border, everyone has a different interpretation of what levels can and should be. And that's not for us to decide. That's for you and your teams to decide. And all we want to be doing is providing that level of transparency to you to make your best business decision and take the best foot forward.
Any questions based on levels? I'm just curious while we're here, Rachel, do you have any concerns, questions about how, we are offering a new way of participating or, kind of through software, leveling dancers up at point of registration?
I think I just want to clarify a little bit, maybe as an event director, we don't all have the same rules in terms of what is a level, a novice level, a competitive level 1, a competitive level 2. So curious to know, ICDR is working towards being able to streamline this so that everybody's got the same rules, or to be able to individualize everything for each.
I would say, yeah, and thank you for that clarification. Thank you for that question, Rachel. The same way that your software customizes to in terms of your provider software, your registration software customizes to your needs and your rules and the terms that your competition sets, that's the same thing with ICDR, right? We're just concerned with protecting the data so that when you, as Elevation Dance Challenge, asks ICDR for the verified birth date of, say, your son, Austin, that when it lands in your system, it's not actually the date of birth landing, but it's his actual confirmed age based on the rules and metrics that you dictate. Right? Your software can easily, at point of registration, make sure that if Austin competed in novice jazz in 2025, that he would not be able to compete in novice jazz in 2026 because that's embedded in.
That's your rule set.
Right. Exactly.
You might allow it for 2 years, and you might allow it for 5 years. And in that case, it's entirely in your control. And again, we can provide specifically the information that you're looking for and do it in a way that keeps as little data on your side as possible, which also just provides a bit of a cleaner operating position for you.
Yeah, if we don't mind, let's move on to slide 8, if we can, please. Slide 8. So slide 8 is cost. Dance is costly. We understand that, and ICDR cost is $0 to have the ID, to get verified, and to you unlock that unique participant ID. Safety is a right. It's not a privilege. And we are moving forward to basically amass the clientele, amass the body of dancers and guardians so that Rachel can, participate in the solutions based on our assembly of dancers. Bryce, do you want to kind of highlight this? There still needs to be some clarity around our cost.
The dance ID is free. This is a right, not a privilege. We want to make sure that that's really, really clear, that all of the dance ID infrastructure is free. And all the different and interesting solutions that we are now bringing to bear in conversations with competitions, studios, and guardians all revolve around one key fact: this is free. The next step up from that, how do we pay our bills? How do we actually pay for the expensive infrastructure that we have built and the level of security that we do have? We are moving into new safety-driven, safety-centric, and transparency-centric tools that we're offering to parents, that we're offering to studio directors, that we're offering to event owner-operators, and we're building up free plans in all of those cases as well. So if the ICDR Dancer ID is free, we're offering then some key, again, safety-centric tools for parents, such as, in the States, primary accident insurance, but right size, so it's not very expensive. So we're targeting like a $5 a month primary accident insurance to get them $25,000 of accident coverage, both in all of the studio and on the way to an event and actually at the event, removing your collective liability. Similar coverage for Canadians. Obviously, our healthcare system is a bit different, and it looks a little bit more like a healthcare spending account style supplementary paramedical insurance for, again, positioning these athletes as athletes, giving them access, giving them access to RMT, giving them access to physio, chiro, and other similar paramedical services that you'd expect any athlete to have access to.
And these are all optional, right? These are all optional paid services. So I asked us to go to the next slide, which is slide 9. It's optional for Rachel to, discover what feature or what solution, what tool might be best for elevation, right? Maybe Rachel's only interested in the waivers. Maybe she's only interested in the live stream protection for now because we can integrate easily with that provider. There might be, optional opt-ins for every single person on this call that is very interesting for you. And that's the sort of customization that ICDR wants to bring you as a partner, right? And you might even have ideas on what we can do next. So I just asked to go to the next slide, if you don't mind. Who owns the data? You do. Plain and simple, right? The data is owned by the people it represents. And that's one of the beautiful things about this whole movement, right? Right now, we're kind of unsure about how data is being processed, managed, where it actually sits, where it is, what the redundancy and retention policies are. You can have assurances that we are being fully transparent in the way we manage, update, privacy review our data. So that is what we're issuing forth to the industry. And I think that that's a pretty new 2026 thing, right, Rach? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I just think it's also important, and everything links one thing to the next, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. Can we show Rachel some love, because she's been, a light in my life for many, many years. And, every conversation, Rachel, I really, really do appreciate. And I know how much you care about not only your dancers, but your clients, your studios. And thank you.
I appreciate you having me.
Appreciate it.
All right. I think we're running out of time. So I want to get right into, let's just get right into our survey. Or actually, any last questions? Any other questions in the chat? Now's the chance. Feel free to put them in there. If we can't refer to it, we promise you we're going to issue forth why do I keep saying issue forth? We're going to send an email with all this feedback and the answers to these questions. And also, I encourage everyone to go to icdrdance.com, go to our updates page, and you will see the Guardian call. You will see the studio call. We have nothing to hide, and we have only everything to learn from what you guys are asking for. So let's launch the survey if you don't mind. And I would love everybody just to take a few minutes. You can use your phone to scan the QR code you are about to see. And if we can get your feedback, it really helps us know exactly what you're looking for. It helps us understand, what our next steps could be. And we really want to even improve these calls, because this is not the last community chat that we're going to have for our events, right? You will definitely have more questions moving forward. So feel free to scan that QR code now, and we might even play a little song if we have that queued up.
Yeah, before we do any sort of music, Mary Roberts brought up, I think, a really clean and key piece, the question that people have had as well, which is, are we gathering data because now this is a free service that we then, in order to pay our bills, will start to sell the data or do some sort of, some sort of data brokering or anything like that? We're excited that we just get to stick in our lane, to be honest with you, Mary. Right now, there's so much work to be done just on the ID verification side and the solutions that we can be presenting to parents on the and again, we're happy to be extremely transparent about how our economic model works, how our revenue model works, by upselling really high quality safety packages that we should be able to fund this entire project independently and not have to worry about starting to dip into other mechanics for making money and keeping the lights on. There are, again, transparently, conversations we're having with very large industry organizations, industry players, the competition side, as well as the volume studio side, and wanting to make sure that we are treating each the different scales of the industry with respect, and also making sure that we're not just giving away everything for free. But we do want to make sure that when we are launching new tools, that the first version of it that's the right size for the industry fits everyone's needs and budgets first. We know that price is an important part of this conversation, and data sovereignty, data protection, COPPA compliance, GDPR compliance, PIPEDA compliance, all those things all come together and is what Jamie and I eat, sleep, and breathe, and talk about far, far too much. So truly, information being sold is not a path we're interested in going down. We believe that we have really great products that we can bring to bear and that people will be really excited about them.
I do have to say, if the data is owned by the people it represents and you have the ability to delete your data or not stay if the values don't align with you, say it was ever sold, that's your opportunity to do that. And that's what's beautiful about the system. So we've removed the barriers to entry. So I want to go back to the slide before this one. What's stopping us? I do have this very large question for the industry. Why not participate in a shared ID system that is fully free, fully privacy compliant, owned by the people it represents, and can actually empower us and give us a new sense of faith in all the data that we're supposed to celebrate and rely on, right? So there's a real large collaborative opportunity here that I'm really excited about, and it's not going to happen overnight, but I really thank all of you for being on this call, because you're taking the first steps to learning about a new tool, a free tool that can really help safeguard all of our operations. I see the ICDR as an industry insurance policy, right? Protecting us against the things that are really in front of us, but also the things around the corner that we can't see. AI was brought up many different times, so I want to show you our email addresses because we want to hear more from you. My event partners are very important to me, important to ICDR mission. So if you want to investigate a little bit further, very easy, Jamie at ICDRdance.com. If you have a little bit more of technical related questions, maybe Bryce at ICDRdance.com. But we would love to hear from you and, help you learn a little bit more about what ICDR can do for your corner of the industry. Absolutely. Bryce, any final thoughts?
No, just thanks for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. We're basically at time. If anyone needs to jump off, please do. Really appreciate the time that everyone's given us today, and that you've given. It's been great. We'll likely stick on with just our team. So over the next little while, just to chit chat about how this conversation went. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for the time.
And if you wanted to stay and you have a burning question, we're here. So feel free to stick around. But otherwise. Happy summer, everybody. We are always here whenever you have questions. Appreciate you all.
Appreciate it, everyone. Thank you.